Hello guys and welcome back to Unsolved TV. We've got a lot to get through today. Congressman admitting that these are probably extraterrestrial or our technology. We're talking about German UAPs. We're talking about scientists coming out about reverse engineering. So without further ado, I'd like you to take your time and just listen to what these people have to say. And thank you for joining the show. So let's go.
Your first question was if China or Russia. If Russia owned it, they wouldn't be battling in Ukraine. It'd be over. Putin's ego, it wouldn't have happened. China, they would control us. Even they pretty much do now, but even more so. So that goes back to my original premise. It's either something that's extraterrestrial or something that we have in our skunk works that we are reverse engineering.
Well, staying with drones, and Germany's ordered its armed forces to shoot down any unidentified drones.
Now this has happened today, guys. This is what's going on. Germany are now saying that they're going to shoot down some of these drones over sensitive areas.
Suspected of spying over military bases, industrial facilities and other critical infrastructure. As per German media reports, the German cabinet's expected to pass a draft amendment to the Aviation Security Act to enable the military to use force against unmanned aerial vehicles. Previously, authorities relied on signal jammers to disable drones. The report added that German Interior Minister Nancy Faeser and Defence Minister Boris Pistorius have agreed on the measures after drones were spotted in restricted airspace near energy, telecommunications, transport and industrial facilities.
So they've been spotted around sensitive areas, transport facilities, telecommunications. I mean, these are very, very sensitive areas, military sites, and we know they've been over a few of the bases in Germany before, haven't we? I mean, we heard about that around about the time where New Jersey was being the New Jersey skies were covered with these orbs and UFOs. I'm pretty sure around that time there was two bases in Germany where UAPs were flying over them. But yeah, this is crazy.
This comes after German police said on Monday that they were investigating recent drone sightings over two military facilities. Germany is on high alert for espionage due to the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. Police have said that they were probing into several incidents in which drones have flown over German military installations. On Sunday, police spotted at least 10 unmanned aerial vehicles flying in a secured military zone in Manching.
Now, I mean, logically, if he was going to send a drone or drones to spy on an enemy or someone, let's say for instance, I don't think you'd send 10 drones above the same place at one time. I mean, that's hardly being secretive, is it? I mean, think logically, guys. Doesn't make sense. So I don't think it's the Chinese or the Russians. And they wouldn't do that. Why would you send 10 drones over an area? That's too obvious, isn't it?
That houses the Eurofighter jets. On December the 19th, 3 drones were spotted over a military airbase in another town.
Hi guys, so
take a look at this, guys. I found this fella on TikTok and he's talking about scientists who's just, I'll let him do the talking, but this is really amazing, and I've added a little bit of the clip of where the scientist was explaining some of these exotic materials and what they can do just after this guy speaks.
bombshell allegations here, absolutely crazy stuff crazy stuff. So Michelangelo has posted something on X that I think everyone should be paying attention to. Christopher Sharp has also reposted this, who we know works for Liberation Times and is a UAP journalist, in part. But yeah, this is substantial. I mean, I think these guys are getting comfortable, let's just put it this way, because these allegations are just insane. Let me read this out to you. Richard Banderick, who's a CEO of Field Propulsion Technologies Incorporated, lead developer of next-generation propellantless propulsion devices. 40 years ago, excuse me, I was involved in a company that used to do reverse engineering. And one of the things that came out of that experience was that some of the NGOs that were trying to reverse engineer advanced technologies reached out to us to take a look at some of the stuff they had. Bandurik became deeply curious as the materials he encountered were definitely way more advanced than the stuff we actually have. He noted being pulled into classified programs where he sought to determine whether the US government was utilizing these technologies. It turned out that my conclusion was that the US government was not, he remarked. He further elaborated on his observations, describing materials excuse me, with extraordinary capabilities such as self-recognition, cloaking, and the ability to disintegrate into dust when reverse engineered. Just think about that for a minute. The isotropic analysis of the dust left behind tells you it's extraterrestrial, or at least that it was manufactured somewhere off Earth. And
So this is a scientist who's worked on a legacy program, you know, been hired to reverse engineer or study these materials, and you know, he's conducted scientific research on this stuff, you know, scientific tests. You know, this ain't just any average Joe in his garage. This is a scientist who's actually worked on these materials, so I'd pay attention closely to what he's saying.
Bandurik explained. Bandurik described these materials as hundreds of years more advanced than current human technology, with construction methods beyond the capabilities of even the largest aerospace corporations we have on Earth. He concluded that such advanced materials often serve to prevent reverse engineering with mechanisms seemingly designed to thwart human attempts to uncover their secrets. These weren't just decades ahead of us, they were likely hundreds of years more advanced, he stated, highlighting the monumental challenges and implications of these discoveries if they can be verified outside of the classified world.
I mean, just take that in for a second. These materials are smart enough to thwart human attempts to reverse engineer them. You know, I mean, that statement in itself says a lot. So these materials, or these technologies, and these entities who have made them, do not want you to reverse engineer aspects of them.
It's just coming thick and fast at the moment, isn't it? Every day almost since the 1st of January, we've had crazy news going on within the UAP community. But this was in a live podcast with Hal Putoff present, and also Hal responded to this, by the way. He said, send the stuff over, we'll have my guys look at it. Hal still has a clearance, I believe, and I still believe that he's working with said legacy programs, in part. But the fact that we've got this man coming forwards, talking about this, is just unbelievable. And the level of incompetence by mainstream media and, you know, people that are trying to push for disclosure on this is just, it's criminal, and it's unconscionable at the moment. But this should be making headline news. We have someone admitting that the legacy programs are real, they've dealt with reverse engineering, and more importantly, the stuff they have dealt with knows it's trying to be reverse engineered, so it turns into dust.
To be fair, there's been a lot of people who have come forward, talked about reverse engineering. You know, it's not just this scientist, but what this scientist has to say is remarkable. But there's been a lot of other people who've come forward and tried to disclose this information, so, you know.
Think about that for a minute. This stuff is just getting overwhelming. It's not going to stop. The orbs are not going to stop. This is going to continue to keep happening until we have a leader that will address the public on all the stuff that's going on at the moment.
No, it's so I'm kind of.
So this is a snippet of the of the podcast. Just one section of it that I found very interesting. I mean, you can go to the podcast and listen to it for yourself, because there's quite a bit more to it. But this is just a taster.
Limited, but you know, one thing I did notice is looking at some of these materials is they were smart materials. Like, one of the things is when these materials, you'd be looking at them and you try to reverse engineer them, that they would turn to dust, and they would do it within a minute or two, and then so you could take the dust and then send it off and get the isotopic analysis done on them, and they were extraterrestrial. But these materials, I mean, we're looking at something that's hundreds of years ahead of us. When you look under a microscope, an electron microscope, you're looking at something that's composed of very small particles that seem to be communicating with one another. So those.
That's crazy. I mean, very small particles that seem to be communicating with one another. I mean, that level of technology is way beyond what we have. It's amazing.
Those are the things that I've been involved in that I'm not that we can talk about, but I think that's one of the reasons why extraterrestrial materials are not really available to most people, is because most of them are set to disintegrate if they get in the wrong hand.
That's really interesting what you shared. So the smart materials that then turned to us within a minute or two. I've heard from a number of people who've spoken to how material is terrestrial versus extraterrestrial. I've heard people share a variety of ways that you can tell that. But Richard, are you able to speak to how it was extraterrestrial versus terrestrial origin?
No, well, the isotopic analysis of the dust that's left behind tells you it's extraterrestrial, at least where it was manufactured. But so we're looking at materials that can reconfigure themselves. They are composed of small subunits. So the type of things I looked at were something as small as a sliver of metal that would reconfigure itself depending on where it was. It would cloak itself and it would try to blend into the environment. So the ones that this one NGO used to get a hold of were the ones that were technically broken. I guess the ones that didn't really function very well. So then you could collect them every once in a while and then try to analyze them. You could do things like split them apart. They would attempt to find each other or reconfigure. So
where, I mean, does that ring a bell? You can attempt to split them apart, but then they'd attempt to reconnect again, reconfigure themselves. I mean, does that remind you of anything? Roswell, the bit of foil where they cut it and it would join back together. Yeah. I mean, this stuff is getting pretty real.
The experiments they did was we took one of those and we put it on a very hot surface of about 3,000 degrees. And what it would do is it cooled the surface around itself. And then when we took the device off and then weighted again, we would find that the mass would be reduced by a certain amount. So these are really curious types of materials. So that's how we could kind of tell they were extraterrestrial, because these things weren't like decades ahead of us. They were probably hundreds of years ahead of us.
So this is some footage that was taken above. This one here was above Germany. A day or two ago, not long ago at all. Again, lights above the clouds. Strange.
That's not normal, is it?
And this is in England.
Who would you
Very
send this to? Eh? Who do you report this to? This is just really strange. I mean, if I zoom in, it becomes. It just looks like they're all the same size. My phone's not good enough to. Every one of them is the same size.
Yeah. 13.
13, yeah?
Yeah.
And they're all in the same formation. They haven't moved out of formation. So they have moved from there in the last 10 minutes.
I mean, you can hear the wind in the background, and he's saying that they haven't moved at all. Crazy.
Across to there, slowly. And if it's that windy like it is, surely they'd move a little bit quicker.
Your mum did say to me though.
I mean, look at these again. Above the clouds, lights. I mean, they may even be within the clouds. Incredible. And this is happening right now around the world. It's been happening a long time, to be fair. Again, another piece of footage above Germany of the lights above, within the clouds. Crazy. So I shared this footage yesterday or the other day, sorry, on episode 2. I just thought I'd repost it and slow it down a bit, zoom in a bit more. Look at this, fleets of them, orbs above Germany. I mean, it's remarkable that we can even, see things like this, yet alone record it and post it on the internet. And these are some images of some orbs above Germany, some close-up images, which I thought I wanted, I just wanted to share them with you guys. I thought they were interesting, just to see them close up. I haven't seen one this clear before. I've seen a few actually that are quite clear, but not ones that have been changing to multiple different types of colours so rapidly. Again, pretty interesting stuff. And here's another one. I mean, personally, what I think is obviously within these orbs there's some kind of object, whether it's a ship, a drone, there is definitely something within them, and the orb itself is most likely a plasma orb, but it's not actually. It's actually there's actually something within them. That's my belief. Really good footage here. I believe this guy took it through his telescope, with which had a digital camera attached to it. And this one, we saw this one in New Jersey. I just thought I'll post it again. It's very interesting. We are living in interesting times. Sorry, I had to just mute the background volume. I had to put it right down, just so we can focus on what this structure looks like and what's going on. But I'm sure all of you have seen this. If you haven't, I don't know what you've been doing. It was on the news. And here's another one. This is the fellow who recorded it with his digital camera attached to the telescope, however he did it. Again, really interesting, very close footage. I mean, it's crazy how you've got all of these things around it. So yeah, this is Germany, and this is being filmed very recently.
Was ist das?
Ich weiß
As you can see, there's an object in the background.
Guck aus dem Fenster, dann
Looks
siehst du es.
cylindrical, possibly
Aber das ist voll langsam.
possibly a saucer, maybe cigar shaped UAP, UFO. But it's moving very slowly. I don't think it's a plane. A plane wouldn't be moving that slow. Not from that distance anyway.
Krass.
There's no chemtrail, there's no trails behind it.
Ich muss ja gucken.
Definitely an interesting image.
Das hat schon
Video,
Frau.
sorry.
Siehst du es? Aber das ist schon groß.
Guck mal.
Es muss,
Das ist vielleicht mit Werbung irgendwas.
es
Guck
muss
mal.
sehr groß
Guck
sein.
mal, wie es aussieht. Das ist eine Werbung. Wahrscheinlich ein Flugzeug. Guck mal.
So I've also taken a
Ich kann es nicht
close-up,
näher ranzoomen.
Schau mal.
but I've zoomed in just so that we
Das
can
kann sein, ja.
see the detail a little bit more. Not that there's much detail we can see, but just to get closer image. You know, it doesn't look like a plane. I don't see any wings.
Was ist das?
Ich weiß nicht, was das ist.
It actually looks quite rectangular or cigar shaped.
Guck aus dem Fenster, dann siehst du es.
Again, from this kind of distance, you can't really tell if it, if it has corners on it or if it's rounded. But definitely an interesting video, and this is probably what's got Germany quite scared, when you've got objects like this above your skies.
Guck mal. Schmuse, guck mal.
They're very interesting.
Drauf. Siehst du? Aber das ist schon groß.
Guck mal.
Es muss,
Das ist vielleicht mit Werbung irgendwas.
es
Guck mal.
muss sehr groß
Guck
sein.
mal, wie es aussieht. Das ist eine Werbung. Wahrscheinlich ein Flugzeug. Guck mal.
I mean, look how slow it's moving.
Schau mal.
It's definitely not a plane.
Das kann sein, ja.
That's just my opinion. Now, with regards to this footage here, I saw this on another YouTuber's channel. Not this exact same footage. The footage that I saw was the same object, which looked like it was in a kind of a valley, and it looks like it's got these kind of smoky tentacles kind of going everywhere, like moving around everywhere. And in the video that I saw, which was about a week or two ago, it was, as I said, within a valley, and it was literally kind of moving around everywhere. Its tentacles was like touching parts of the ground, and it was floating in the air. It was really, really odd. This could be CGI, but the reason why I've posted this was because there was another video previously, and strangely, coincidentally, I found a video with the exact same object in it, which I thought was really unique just because of the way it looks, and the fact that there's two different videos of this object filmed in two different places. I think it deserves to be it deserves to be within this video. I mean, look at it, it's strange. I've zoomed in here just to give you a better close-up image of it. Now, if any of you know about the other footage that was released previously, please let me know in the comments. And yeah, I would love to see that footage again. For some reason I can't find it. Now, Dr. Jonathan Reed, pretty sure maybe most of you haven't heard of him, but yeah, this happened about 15 years ago. I remember it was a guy, he was walking his dog in the forest, something attacked his dog. He went and he was horrified with what he saw. Some kind of creature was attacking his dog, so he tried to help his dog. He hit the creature with a log over its, some kind of stick or a log that he found on the floor. He hit it over its head, knocked the creature out. It sounds crazy, right? But he's actually got footage of all of this. So I'm just going to give you a bit of this footage, and you can go and research for yourselves. His name is Jonathan Reed, Dr. Jonathan Reed, and it's really amazing footage. I mean, this is probably the best alien footage I've ever seen personally, because it literally looks exactly how it's been described in the past. And if you know about the MJ12 document, they have a document that tells you what these EBEs look like, and one of slits, almond shaped eyes, a slit for a mouth, slit for the nostrils, greyish in colour, long arms, 4 fingers. I mean, this is really incredible footage. But have a look at, go look into Jonathan Reed if you find this interesting.
So, Doctor, when did you hear that scream?
Well, after I a few hours had gone by, and I had called.
So after he whacked it over the head, this fella wrapped up the alien, put it in his van, took it home, unwrapped it in his garage, and literally moved its head about, videoed it. You can hear the horror in his voice though. I mean, this is what makes it so real. Not just that the alien looks very, very, very real. I mean, 15 years ago, there's actually parts of the footage where you see the alien's eyelids slightly open, then close. Apparently it wasn't dead. But yeah, look into it.
Gary back, and he had calmed me down from crawling practically around the ceiling. We both went out to look again, and I figured, we went out and looked. We did the same thing. I opened the freezer so that I could know that I was not imagining this. And the same thing happened. And when the freezer was opened, this thing let out a scream like I have never heard before. It literally, the force of the sound made you feel like something was pushing against your chest.
The air around it as it screams actually bubbles and moves.
It felt like the air was moving.
I mean, take a look at that. That looks pretty real. I mean, there's a big gash in the back of this being's head. So yeah, the scream that he's talking about was a scream that the alien had made when I'm guessing when it regained consciousness. Yeah, so if you're a bit scared and get nightmares, you may want to pause it or fast forward it, sorry. Otherwise, yeah, just have a listen.
God.
And at that time, it was just, open and closed. And later on, I felt like I had to try to document this.
Of course.
So I took my camera, and I took the recorder, and I turned it on, and I again opened the freezer, and that's when I recorded this sound.
Would you play the sound for us once again, please?
Yes, I will. Hold on.
Okay. Here it comes. Oh, my God, that's awful. Oh, God, that's awful. How?
So, Dr. Jonathan Reed was on the Art Bell show, Coast to Coast, talking to Art Bell. So that's where, that's who's talking at the moment. It's Art Bell and Dr. Jonathan Reed. So you can always go and check that program out if you want to as well.
How did you stay dry?
I didn't.
Yeah, well, that's good.
So yeah, thank you for joining me on episode 3. I hope you enjoyed it. Looking forward to sharing some more stuff with you. So please like and subscribe.